So you're thinking about getting a nose piercing. Hey, how's it going? I'm Jettie, and today I'm hopefully going to help you decide if nose piercings are right for you. This is just some information on what to expect, the different kinds of nose piercings, etc., etc. So let's get started. The first main question is, did it hurt? Yes, piercings hurt. You're getting a needle shoved through your cartilage or your skin or wherever you decide to get a piercing, so of course it's gonna hurt, but I can never give a straight answer on the level of pain because everyone's different. I personally am a wimp when it comes to pain, so it always feels worse to me versus someone else. So just keep that in mind. You know your body better than everyone else. Next, there are multiple different kinds of nose piercings. The most common one you will see is a nasal piercing like I have. They come in so many different shapes and styles, and they can be very discreet and easy to hide if you have to. The next most common piercing is the septum piercing. That is another easy one to hide because it's up in your nose. You can put a retainer bar and no one will ever know. Now we're getting into the less common and more, I guess, brutal piercings, you could say. The next piercing is the bridge piercing, which sits up between your eyes. It's pierced with a straight bar and it looks like this. If you were to move that bar down to the midsection of the nose, that is called a nasaling, I don't know how to pronounce it. We'll say a nasaling piercing. So that goes through your nose, all the way across, and gotta be careful with bridge and nasaling piercings because if they're not straight, that would really suck. And final type of nose piercing that I have come across is a rhino piercing, also known as a vertical tip. So what that is it's a curved barbell that goes through your nose, through the tip of the nose all the way down to the bottom of the nose. Now with different types of piercings, there are different types of jewelry. The nasal and the septum piercing is the most common, so it has a lot of different styles and sizes to choose from. But if you're going to go with a bridge or a rhino, it's going to be more straightforward with a simple barbell. And I'm going to put on the screen all of the different types of nose jewelry you can use. Now with any piercing, there is always going to be a risk of infection, and that is completely normal. It's an open wound on your body, so the best way to avoid this is just to keep your piercing super clean, follow the instructions from your piercer, don't ever touch it with dirty hands or at all if you can. The simplest way and most common way to clean your nose is you take a little shot glass of distilled water and non-iodized sea salt. You mix it up and then you just dip your nose in there, you hold it there for a few minutes, and then that's gonna help all of the gross crusties fall off and keep your nose nice and refreshed. And then when you're done, you're just gonna simply pat it dry, and you're gonna do that about 2 to 3 times a day. The healing process will depend on the location of the piercing. Faster piercings to heal will be the septum and the nasal piercing, while others will take longer, up to a year, are the bridge and the nasaling and those crazy types of piercings. So for example, my nasal piercing is about 5 months old, so it's reaching the end of the healing process. However, that can change depending on your circumstances. So if you hit it and it snags or you aren't taking care of it properly, it'll take longer to heal. And one of the things you don't realize is you touch your face a lot. So I found myself hitting my nose piercings a lot, and it's not a fun experience. When you're washing your face, be very careful because sometimes you tend to forget that it's there, or when you're drying your face or putting clothes on, just be careful. You have a hole in your face now, so just for your information. A couple things that I wish I knew going into it beforehand was that you're gonna have to learn how to blow your nose all over again. Especially when it's a fresh piercing and you have a runny nose or you sneeze, it's going to be a little painful trying to clean that up. Once you learn that your jewelry is there and it's a little painful to touch, you're gonna eventually learn how to work around that. And then the other thing was, it won't always show up in pictures, which makes sense, but that's not something I thought about beforehand. but just keep that in mind. Also, switching out your jewelry can hurt, even if it's still relatively new and you're at that 3-month mark where you're allowed to change it. It's still healing. So what happened to me was I was changing my nose stud to a nose hoop, and that didn't feel too good. So what happened was it irritated the piercing, so after a few days I actually took it back out and switched back to another nose stud so that I could make sure that my nose was completely fully healed in a few more months, and I could put the nose hoop back in. Now the last piece of information I have for you is the price. It's going to vary between studio to studio, but from my research, it's going to range from about $30 flat to upwards of $120. And that can also depend on the type of jewelry you get. If you get a precious stone, it's gonna cost a little bit more than just like your basic surgical steel ball. Just as an example, my reputable piercer did it at $100. So that included the jewelry and the piercing. And of course, the price can go up a lot more depending on the type of piercing, but for a simple nasal, that's what it was for me. And I could advise you to not get it done super cheap, because that usually means that the piercer or the studio is not that great. And I would, even if you have to save up a little bit for it, I would, because it's not worth it if you end up with an infection or something later on. Okay, well, that is all the information I have. I talked a lot about the simple ones. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the more hardcore bridge and nasal ring piercings and all that, but I hope this helped you. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below so I can answer that for you. If you'd like to see more videos on piercings and jewelry and just body modifications in general, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow my socials, link down below, subscribe, join the Rock Mafia. I'll see you next time.